Crazy Crab in the house, and today going to talk about an interesting thing happening with the Tampa Bay Rays in Major League Baseball. Little experiment involving one of my favorite relief pitchers of all time. He helped the San Francisco Giants win 3 World Series. He struck out Miguel Cabrera looking to end the 2012 World Series. My main man, Sergio Romo. After 588 career relief appearances, he makes his first start, which in and of itself sounds pretty cool. I was like, oh, what? Sergio Romo started? That's cool, man. I decided like went ahead and Googled it just to kind of take a look and see how he did, and I find out there's much more to it. He only pitched 1 inning by design, and then he started the next game and pitched an inning and a third again by design. Basically, he's just kind of killing an inning, getting the team off to a good start because of good matchups, and then you bring in the quote unquote starter to go ahead and pitch, and he's already got an inning out the way. So some articles are calling it like a revolutionary move. In reality, I don't think it's going to be all widespread common practice, but in this particular case it was pretty smart because the pitchers who were going to start those games, both young guys, Ryan Yarbrough and Anthony Banda, left-handed pitchers against a very heavy right-handed lineup, and they probably weren't going to pitch really deep into the games, and they're both, like I said, very young, so I'm sure they were talked to and they explained what was happening, what they were going to try, and I'm sure they were both like, okay, cool. So you got an experienced veteran. This guy ain't scared of nothing. He's closed out World Series championships. He's been through it all. So to have him go ahead and start the game, get things rolling, get a few outs, then bring in your regular starter, who now if he pitches, say he only pitches 4 or 5 innings, well, we'll be that much closer to the ninth inning. So it seems like a logical plan, and they even beat the Angels 5-3 the first time. Second time they didn't end up winning, but Romo still did his job, and things were looking pretty good. So, didn't work out in that game, but Romo looked great, struck out 3 batters both times, and it looked good. The strategy seemed to work. So this caused lots of conversations and comments. And, normally something like this I might flip out. Like when weird things happen in Major League Baseball that's not the norm, that's not what we're used to, we tend to be like not like it, and I'll tend to go on a rant like the stupid extra inning rule now in the minor leagues where a runner starts at second base. I have a video on that. Hey, whatever it is, typically I'm going to flip out, but there's nothing changing here. Really, there's nothing to rant about here because nothing has changed. No rules have changed. This was a strategic decision by the Rays, thinking outside the box, and I think it's pretty cool, pretty awesome, because it's not something I want to see happen every game, and I don't think it will. I always like the possibility of a no-hitter or perfect game happening, and this kind of removes that possibility. And I also love watching big-time pitchers, like Bumgarner, Scherzer, Kershaw. Maybe not Kershaw, because he's on the Dodgers, but you get my point. I love watching starting pitchers dominate a game because it's a big part of baseball, and I don't think it's going anywhere. This is just a strategic possibility that's always been available to teams. The Rays decided to go for it, and you got to give them credit. Cubs manager Joe Maddon says that was done out of necessity. If you don't have enough starters that you like, you may choose to do something on a day, maybe 2 days, but to see it becoming part of the norm, I doubt it. If you want to do it that way, you would really have to nurture them in the minor leagues for a long time. I think you're going to wear out bullpen dudes if you're going to do something like that. And then Madden also talked about the thing that crossed my mind the first time I heard about this. The biggest kind of barrier to get over is having to talk to your pitchers, your big-time veteran pitchers especially, who are used to preparing for the games. They have their little rituals. They know, the game's time 7:05. They know exactly when they need to be ready. They knew when they need to start throwing, when to stretch, when to do everything they do. He said, plus I don't want to have to tell John Lester, you're coming in the second. I don't want to say, you'll be in there in the second inning. Don't worry about it. And definitely don't want to tell former Cub John Lackey that. That would be my worst nightmare right there. Hey, John, can I talk to you for a second? What do you want? Um, I was just wanted to get with you because I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put Carl in to start the game. Have you come in the second? The hell are you talking about? Well, never mind. You know what? Just forget that. I was just kidding. For Carl in. Never mind, bro. So yeah, that would be a tough conversation. But nevertheless, if a starting pitcher is agrees and says, hey, that's no problem. I can start in the second, and this is something that you're in a tight situation like the Rays are, and it needs to be done. It's nothing, not a big deal. It's just something interesting. It's something that's allowed. It's always been allowed in baseball. It's probably been done back, in the Babe Ruth days and stuff. There were probably times when teams thought about doing, maybe not that exact thing, but there was more openness back then. No one was worried about, oh, what are they going to say about me on Twitter? There was more like whatever we need to do. Pitchers would throw 230 pitches back then and pitch 14 innings, 15 innings. Now, if you did that, you would be probably in prison for abuse. But anyway, another player weighed in, and he wasn't happy about it. Zach Cozart of the Angels, the team the Rays were playing, he said, I feel like teams have an ulterior motive when they're doing this. Cozart told the media, less starting pitching means you don't have to pay guys as much. Cozart said he understood the situation the Rays were in, but he didn't want to overlook the future of baseball. I'm more concerned about the financial aspect of 3 or 4 years down the road. If your whole staff is bullpenning except a couple guys, your payroll is going to go down because you don't have to pay starters anymore. Well, he's a Major League Baseball player. That's how he makes his living. I can see, that's probably why that's his concern. I think he's worried about nothing. That's not going to happen. They're not going to go a full bullpen game. You got to pay people if you want to be good. You got to pay guys like Bumgarner. You got to pay guys like Kershaw. You got to get your Johnny Cuetos or whatever, your Jeff Samardzes. I'm saying Giants because that's what I'm most familiar with. But whatever your rotation is, you need those guys in there to be able to kill 6, 7 innings. You can't just pitch with your bullpen every night. There's just not enough team. You only got 25 guys on your roster. Now, if you had a 40-man roster all year or 50-man roster all year, sure, you could probably get away with that. You're not going to be that good, though. You're going to lose a lot of games because relief pitchers aren't going to be as good. You need starting pitchers to go up there and put zeros up, or 6, 7 innings, give up 0 or 1 or 2 runs at the most, and give your team a chance to win the game. And you throw a bunch of bullpen guys out there, it's going to get tough. Just like the Cubs manager, like Joe Madden said. So I'm not worried about it becoming a big part of baseball. I don't mind if it's more teams start doing this. I'm still not going to be worried. It's never going to be like every game, okay, we're going to have a guy pitch 1 inning. It's all about matchups. It's all about, if it's not against the rules of baseball, who cares? There's some exceptions. I'm not saying to just do whatever you want as long as it's not against the rules, but this is not an exception to me. This is fine. You want to start Sergio Romo, have him pitch an inning because he's right-handed, and you think you can get some right-handers out and he can get going, and then by the time you bring your lefty in, well, Romo's already faced the first 3 or 4 hitters. So now when those guys come up again, they're facing your young pitcher, your regular starter. They're facing him for the first time. So in that game anyway. So they haven't seen him yet. And sometimes, hitters feel like they're more comfortable after they've seen a pitcher 1 or 2 at bats. So there's a whole thing. There's a whole reason behind it. I don't have no problem with it. I think I think that the Rays did something that was helpful to them, and maybe they won one of those games because of it. So, they didn't do it today as far as I know, so it's not like they're just going to do this every game, but it's pretty interesting and pretty cool. Anyone who comes across this video, let me know your thoughts on it, and I'll be working on some more videos coming soon. Go Giants. Have a nice day. Goodbye.